News starts now with breaking news.
We have a breaking news update. A suspect is dead tonight after shooting an officer in Flowood. This is exclusive 3 on Your Side video of the scene around 5 o'clock this evening. According to the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation, officers attempted to make a traffic stop on a vehicle on Lakeland Drive near Treetops Boulevard. When one of the officers began approaching the vehicle, the passenger exited and shot the officer. After the suspect fired their gun, Flowood PD returned fire, striking the individual. The suspect was taken to a local hospital where he later died. The officer who was shot received non-life-threatening injuries. The other officer did not receive any serious physical injuries. WLBT crews spotted 2 other people placed in handcuffs. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation is taking over the case.
We begin with this Fox 10 News alert. A deadly early morning police shooting under investigation in a South Phoenix neighborhood.
Dominic Newland is live on scene. This is in the area of 15th Avenue in Southern, where police just gave an update moments ago. Dom, what are we learning now?
Good morning. Yeah, we're learning a lot. We're actually learning this is the 4th officer-involved shooting this year, the 2nd where officers actually have been fired at, and this instant is included where officers were fired at. So here's a look at where we're at. We're in this neighborhood near 15th Avenue and St. Kateri Street, and as you can see, this crime scene smack dab in the middle of this neighborhood. So that update that we were able to get from Phoenix Police not too long ago, they say this started as a traffic stop at 12:30 this morning. Officers saw a red truck that looked suspicious driving fast through a neighborhood, and when they tried to pull that car over, the suspect was being uncooperative. He ended up running from his car into this neighborhood. Canines were able to help track him down, and the suspect was hiding in a recycling bin of someone's fenced house. Now, when officers tried to negotiate, they even tried using pepper balls and less lethal tools to get him out. The suspect ended up firing at officers, so officers returned that fire, shooting and killing the suspect. Now, no officers were injured in this incident, but because this all happened in a neighborhood, you guys, there may be some restrictions in this area. So here's what Phoenix Police had to say on that.
This happened in this neighborhood. There may be restrictions to the community members that live in the immediate area. Their commute to and from work this morning may be affected. Please contact 911, provide the dispatcher your address, and we'll have a police officer escort you out of the neighborhood. Detectives will be canvassing the neighborhood for all different types of evidence, to include surveillance cameras on videos or on the houses.
Yeah, guys, so they're really recommending if you do live in this neighborhood nearby, maybe your car is even inside of this crime scene tape, to not walk to it, like you said, to call 911, tell the dispatcher your address, and that's when they will call an officer and kind of have someone escort you, because this is an active crime scene. Now, also keep in mind, due to this being a residential area, there are a lot of schools in this area, several elementary schools, a high school. They say that classes will remain as usual, go on as usual, as well as traffic won't be affected, as this is an isolated incident just happening in this area behind me. But once again, the 4th officer-involved shooting just this year, the 2nd where officers have been fired at, but no officers were injured in this case. I'll send it back to you.
Tonight, a tragedy as 2 women trying to get help for domestic violence were gunned down.
Police say a 51-year-old man shot and killed his wife and her daughter just 5 days after he was served with a protective order.
Yeah, this happened outside the Cabarrus Department of Social Services office in Kannapolis as the 2 women were trying to talk to officials. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King takes a look at the investigation.
Yeah, officials were out here for hours working to piece together what happened here this morning in this busy parking lot where 2 people were killed, and residents we spoke with this morning told us they were lucky to have just missed it. A quiet morning shattered by chaos, shots fired.
It's a crazy scene for sure.
Around 8:30 this morning, Kannapolis police got the call. A shooting in the parking lot of the busy Cabarrus Department of Social Services, sending a wave of fear through families and workers.
God was with me, my family, because we just was pulling in as we see this.
Cabarrus County deputies were already at the scene when Kannapolis police arrived. They found 45-year-old Maria Julian Pichardo and her 19-year-old daughter, Yamilaine Sosa Julian. Police say the suspect, 51-year-old Rafael Lopez, who was married to Julian Pichardo, took off, and a Cabarrus County Sheriff's deputy was trying to catch up with him. say the pursuit ended miles away when the suspect pulled over along Lower Palmer Road in Rockwell and turned the gun on himself. Law enforcement and DSS began investigating a domestic violence incident involving the couple on February 1st. On February 6th, Lopez was charged with domestic assault. Last Friday, he was served with a temporary domestic protective order. The two victims were at DSS this morning to meet with a social worker to further discuss the February 1st incident. And for those in the community, this was yet another tragic reminder of rising violence.
It's been happening too much. We can't even send our kids to school. We can't come to the DSS without something like this happening in the city that I grew up in, you know, and it's sad, and it's got to stop somewhere along the line.
And no DSS employee was injured in the shooting. And of course, as we learn more and get more information, we will be sure to continue to keep you updated here and on our website at WCNC.com. Live here in Cabarrus County, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
Breaking news out of Bayside, Queens, where police say a man died after being shot by officers right in front of a police precinct.
And the NYPD just wrapped up a news conference. Our Eileen LaPalmer live there at the 111th precinct with new details for us tonight. Eileen.
Well, Corey and Shirley, you can see this is still a very active crime scene here. And here's what we know so far. Police say a 79-year-old man parked his car here in front of the precinct around 6:40 this evening, and then with a loaded handgun walked into the precinct. Cops say he refused to drop that loaded gun, and 4 officers opened fire. I'm going to step out of the way here so you can see what is in front of the precinct now. There are at least 10 evidence markers here on the ground. That's because police say this all happened in the vestibule, and those shots were actually fired from inside the precinct out by those 4 officers. Now, we did speak with people in the area. They heard the gunshots.
It sounded like fireworks, but at this point in time of the year, that couldn't be, so I kind of assumed it was gunshots. About 6, it sounded like in the distance, so it wasn't that loud, but it definitely was noticeable.
And at that news conference just a few minutes ago, police also showed a photo of what they say is that loaded revolver that the 79-year-old man had as he walked into there. They say that they are looking into whether or not he fired any shots, but we do know that 4 police officers did fire those shots, and we should have that sound from the NYPD also.
After the de-escalation techniques were unsuccessful, 4 officers discharged their firearms. The male was struck numerous times. A loaded Cobra .38 special firearm was recovered at the scene. Officers performed CPR on the male, and he was taken by EMS to New York Presbyterian Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. The discharging officers were transported to an area hospital for evaluation. This incident is depicted on both body-worn camera and also the precinct security cameras.
And what is not known at this point is what was the motive. What did that 79-year-old man say to the officers when he walked into the precinct? Police say that is still part of the investigation as to what this all was about. But as you can see here, this is still the active crime scene. The shell casings and some evidence markers are out here. And it even appears that possibly one of the bullets flew across the street. Police are holding off an area over there where there is a shattered window across the street here as well. So a lot left in this investigation. We are live here in Bayside, Queens. Eileen LaPalmer, Pix 11 News.
And we continue to follow breaking news on a deadly police shooting in Akron this morning. The man who police say opened fire on officers has died. Brittany Weir has the latest information on the investigation.
This all started just before 9 o'clock this morning. A man was shot and killed by police after they say he stole a car and a gun and immediately opened fire on officers. Monday morning, Akron police received a call for a stolen white Toyota Camry. Police found the car near Lakeshore Boulevard. When they tried to pull it over, the driver, a man in his 30s, started shooting at police. Officers immediately returned gunfire, hitting the driver. According to Akron police, officers gave the man first aid until paramedics arrived. He was taken to a local hospital where he died from his injuries. 3 officers who have between 9 and 30 years of experience with the department were involved in this shooting. They are now on paid administrative leave per department protocol. We are still working to figure out if those 3 officers who were involved were wearing body cameras, and if they were on. It is department protocol to be wearing these cameras, and as we learn more, we will bring you those updates. In Akron, Brittany Weir, 19 News.
New details tonight about a story we first brought to you as breaking news yesterday at 6. This started as a burglary. Ross County deputies tell us a man, though, is dead after they shot him just outside Chillicothe. It happened last night at the intersection of Pleasant Valley Road and State Route 104. And today, the sheriff's office is not releasing any details about the man, his name, age, or where he's from. 10 TV's Colin Dorsey is in Chillicothe tonight digging for answers.
The Ross County Sheriff's Office says it started as a burglary and it led up to deputies pulling the trigger and killing that man. And as of this evening, there's not a lot more information available on that. But for the people living in that neighborhood, certainly has them nervous.
I just locked the doors and hunkered down.
It started here in this home, according to neighbors.
There's a man with my gun. He's going to give me some money. He was in my house. Please hurry.
The woman calling 911 said she came home from walking her dog to find a man inside. She says he left her house and crossed the highway where deputies approached him and he showed the gun.
Uh-oh. He's got this. Uh-oh, the cop just shot him. The cop just shot him.
They shot him here at the entrance to the Chillicothe Baptist Church. I walked from house to house today talking with neighbors. For something like this to happen in your neighborhood, what's going through your mind?
Well, I was scared.
Vicki McLean has lived around here for more than 40 years and says this just doesn't happen over here.
It'd be very unusual for this neighborhood for that to happen.
So rare, really, that she doesn't feel unsafe today. A woman nearby with a 2-year-old child told me this does concern her. Then another says the burglar tried her door too, but it was locked. Kevin Ritter pastors the Chillicothe Baptist Church. He was on his way back from Grove City to find the drive to his church an active crime scene. Has there ever been any incidents with crime or break-ins at all?
There has not. We've been fortunate that there's not been anything like that we've experienced specifically in our church.
Today, he's thankful for the quick response from law enforcement and that none of his staff or congregation were here at the time. I did request an interview with Sheriff George Lavender for any updates that he had to share, but I didn't hear back. In Chillicothe, Colin Dorsey, 10 TV News.